It was the rambling press conference, the ad-lib press conference heard round the world. Magic has stepped down, and via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network, Nick Wright, co-host First Things First. All right, let's start with this. Fork in the road. Celtics, Clippers, Warriors chose young guys. Of course, they didn't have LeBron, but it is a fork in the road time for this organization. I think I know which direction you would go, but what do you make of my premise to begin with, that it's choice time?
Well, the choice has to be get the best possible president of basketball operations. I would call Toronto, and I would try to talk to Masai Ujiri. Brian Windhorst suggested they try to talk to Bob Myers in Golden State. I would, if you can't get that level of person, I would call Houston and try to elevate Gerson Rosas, Daryl Morey's right hand, or Boston and Mike Zarin, Danny Ainge's right hand. No matter what direction you want to go, you've got to try to talk to one of those guys. David Griffin obviously is a name that's associated there. And I think a smart basketball person will come to the conclusion that I have come to, which is on your fork in the road, you go the direction with LeBron. Like, to compare this to the Celtics situation where you had a aging, almost finished Pierce and KG, an impulsive trillionaire owner in Brooklyn that's going to give you 3 firsts and 3 pick swaps. And by the way, now that we've got hindsight, so what the Celtics got out of that, the best asset was Jason Tatum, and Kyrie's leaving, and Brooklyn is actually in not that much worse of shape. That's your best case scenario. And they never ended up with a true blue chipper, and because of that, they never were true title contenders. For the Warriors, yes, smart basketball people know this kid Steph Curry is better than Monte Ellis. That, to me, wasn't a real fork in the road. So I agree with the premise that they have to go hire a smart, forward-thinking president. But I don't think a smart, forward-thinking president is going to trade away the greatest player in the history of the league.
By the way, Bill Oram writes for The Athletic, smart guy, connected, covers the Lakers, lives out here in Los Angeles, said basically in a long story today that LeBron turned off teammates. And, listen, I think people forget that when you go to these great teams, Magic Johnson, as a Laker, was called Tragic Johnson, and Kobe had 2 years when the city turned on him post-Shaq. It's not linear. Like, everybody's got a bad, even Magic and Kobe with the Lakers had a bad year or two or series. So I read Oram's stuff and I think, yeah, he's right. What was your takeaway on it?
Listen, I think that there's 2 seasons for the Lakers within the one. There's everything up until LeBron's injury, in which case it was all rosy and good, and leadership was good, and the coaching looked good, and the roster construction didn't look disastrous. And then there's everything post-injury, where not only did other guys, post-Christmas I should say, LeBron gets hurt, other guys get hurt, Luke Walton's rotations come into question, the roster construction comes into question, and LeBron makes some clear, I believe, strategic and almost cultural issues as far as how he deals with the young players. The full 2-armed embrace around Anthony Davis didn't sit well with the young players. LeBron's aloofness, passive-aggressive on social media, didn't sit well with young players. His 2 palms to the sky whenever anything goes wrong on the court, this thing has never sat well with teammates. We heard about that in an article a few weeks back. So I think LeBron clearly had a bunch of misses this year once the season was slipping away. He also doesn't have a ton of experience dealing with young players. Like, this is the youngest team he's played on since his rookie year, and the teams that have won with LeBron have always been veteran-laden teams. And I think once the adversity hit, LeBron and everyone within the organization didn't handle as well as they should have.
What do you make of Magic Johnson? I said earlier that Dodgers Magic is the perfect Magic. Joyful, he's a human LinkedIn. He connects people. That's what he does. Laker Magic is, you're asking him to be a grinder, and he's got like $500 million of net worth minimum. He's not really a grinder. What do you make of the last 24 hours for Magic?
Listen, I think there are a lot of celebrities that are sports fans that really think they'd love to have your job and think they'd be great at it. and say, oh my God, I talk about sports every day. Like, let me do Cowherd's job when he finally retires in 2042. And then they're like, wait, you get in when? So wait, you do a 2-hour show before the show to prep the show, and then it's 3 hours of just talking, and then it's preparing and wait. So you're actually working 12 hours a day if you include everything you're doing? I think Magic thought, yeah, I could run a team. I love hoops. I watch hoops. I know people. I have LeBron's number. This is a few weeks ago, I reached out to Daryl Morey. You know where he was? In Spain, watching a player named Sergio Yul, who he drafted 7 years ago, trying to get him to come over for the 6th consecutive offseason. This is a big-time job that I'm not saying Magic isn't equipped for, but I don't think at this stage in his life he was equipped for the workload. He didn't even forget going to Spain. I'm told Magic didn't even go to the Final Four. What? The Final Four, kind of a big basketball moment if you're building a team with a lottery pick. He didn't want to do the work, and he thought it was going to be like being the face of an operation as opposed to the brains behind the operation. That's not saying Magic's not smart, but I don't think he wanted to put in the intellectual effort or the man hours that this job demands.
Finally, got a minute left. Luke Walton, keep him, fire him, what you do?
Come on.
What?
Luke Walton didn't get better because Magic quit. Luke, well, listen, Colin, I know you're a big market guy, got investments all over the place. The market will speak on this. Luke Walton will get fired, and there will be plenty of NBA teams that have openings, and none of them will hire him. And maybe his alma mater, the University of Arizona, will let him come be a head coach, and if not, he'll be an assistant somewhere. No matter what fork you take, no matter what road you take, no matter what path you take, if on that path Luke Walton is your head coach, you're not doing the best you can do. There are plenty of other viable options that aren't going to draw up out of timeouts, post-ups for JaVale McGee. And so, Luke Walton, maybe your next job you'll be better at it, but this one you weren't, and that can't be blamed on LeBron.
Interesting stuff. Nick Wright, co-host First Things First. I don't know, something going on with him, Joey. He looks a little hipper and cooler lately. It's almost like he's got a stylist. It's really coming together, really buttoning up his act.
A lot of jokes at Nick Wright's expense. That's fine, Colin Cowherd. You're 3,000 miles away, so there's not much I can do, so I'll just smile and say goodbye.
Good seeing you, buddy. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.